Afternoon, everyone. Okay, hello, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How are you all? Welcome to the event. So, I'm Sakina, the co-organizer of Flutter Pune. I just recently joined Flutter India, and I am seriously really feel welcome over here. It's a great experience so far. So, I'll just be telling you about the agenda in a I'll just give you the agenda shortly. So the event is, as you all know, it's good. The main agenda of the event is the Null Safety in Dart talk by Filip Hráček. Okay, so his talks are seriously a brain gain every time. I personally find them very comfortable. It's always like he's having a one-on-one chat with us. So, he's the creator of the Flutter Boarding Show. That show itself, like for all the beginners, starting from episode one right till the end, it's always a new experience, and for everyone as an individual, it's a learning experience. So after that, we'll be having a Q&A session. As we all know, on Twitter, we had started a hashtag called Ask Flutter India. So we have taken all of your questions in mind and we'll try to cover as many as possible with Filip Hráček. And later on, we'll also take these questions up in the dev channel. Okay. After the Filip Hráček event and after the Q&A session, we are going to have Nikita Gandhi is going to come. For all of you who don't know her, there must be very less people who don't know her. Firstly, she is somebody all of us look up to as individual women. She's going to be talking about Dev Fest India, the Dev Fest event. She's going to be giving us a lot of details about it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. After that, we are going to have a small fun game session, so make sure you stay tuned till the end. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Filip over. Hi, Filip.
Hello. Hi, Schema. Thank you for the introduction.
So, thank you so much. How are you, Filip? Hope you're doing great.
I'm
I
doing great.
felt,
Yes.
yeah, hope you're doing great.
I'm doing great. Yes, I have my coffee. I am ready to go. I'm pretty excited to give this talk. This will be the first time I'm talking about null safety on like a public forum, and I love it that it's for Flutter India because I have I didn't tell anyone, but I have a connection to India because my honeymoon was in India.
Oh,
So yeah, I love the country.
that's pretty cool. Before this, I spent a couple of hours on their game. It was a lot of fun. Mm,
Nice.
So, yeah, let's get started.
All right. So let's talk about null safety then. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being interested in null safety in Dart. I guess this is not a topic that is probably like the most exciting, but it's very important. Null safety in Dart is coming, but I'll have to say it's still early, right? Because people get excited about new features in programming languages. Now, since Thursday, I think you can, in stable release, experiment with null safety, but it's still behind an experimental flag. I will let you know, or I will show you actually how to go past that. But it's not there yet. It's not in Flutter yet. This is kind of a preview, and I think it's still good for you to be here, even if you're not going to use null safety for some time yet. It's still nice to be able to understand what's going on, why it's important, and how to deal with it. And of course, if you can experiment, then experiment. If you don't have the time, it's fine. You still have time. So with that, I like to start from the very basics, right? So I'm sorry, this was me. We are used to variables generally having values. So in other words, most variables most of the time have some kind of a value. If you have an age variable like here, it is either 18 or 42 or even 0, but you don't expect it to be null. Of course, everything starts to ping me. All right, so you don't expect most variables to be null. We actually have stats about this. Like I think about 80% of variables out there are just never null. You don't expect them to be null, they're not null. On the other hand, there are variables, like I give you the example of a favorite color. So some people, I think most people have a favorite color, but some people just don't. They don't have a favorite color. And so it doesn't make sense to have that variable filled with anything. You can, if you're trying to really hard to avoid null, and some people do, you can say things like, oh, the color is black. If this person doesn't have a favorite color, their favorite color will be black. But then you have to think about it, because now one of the colors is special, and it basically signifies that there is no favorite color. And often you will find out that at some point someone will come and say, no, my favorite color is black. It's not that I don't have it. It's like, this is my favorite color. So null, what I'm trying to sell is null is not the enemy. Null is actually sometimes very useful and meaningful. The semantics of null is not applicable, or not there yet, or none, right? This is kind of in conflict, I guess, with what we hear from people like Tony Hoare. Tony Hoare is the person who is blamed for introducing null in the 60s to programming languages, and he calls it his billion-dollar mistake to introduce the null reference. And I think it's a cute message, of course, and I'm glad that he talks about it, of course, but it leads to some people thinking that null itself is wrong, or having something like maybe or optional, something that is not there is wrong. It's not. It's completely fine. If we had to blame something, and if we had to come up with a kind of a mistake, a billion-dollar mistake, it would be introducing null before null safety. But of course, in the 60s, it's hard to introduce null with null safety, because null safety just wasn't there yet. But yeah, null is not the enemy, but it does have the problem. And the problem is this. If you have, in this current Dart, and in any language that has null and not null safety, if you have a favorite color variable, which is in this case null, but if you have a favorite color, color variable, then the type of that variable is not actually color, it is color or null. It's a union type of color or null. And you have to think about it all the time, because even if it says color, it might be null. In this example, I hope that you can see it, is that this is a very, very simple, like 3-line function that I invented, and it just sets the background of some system, and it says it takes a color of C, and that C dot, let's assume that the color has .hex field, and we can take the field and give it to some invented system background value, and that's it, right? Well, the thing here is that in current Dart without null safety, color here, or C, is color or null. It is not just color. So if you just leave it as is, even though it looks completely fine, right? Like color.hex, of course, it's there. Color, assuming that color has the .hex, then that's fine. But then you run it, and at some point, bam. Oh, I'm very proud of this one. Okay, one more time. Bam. So you are calling .hex on null. What you should be doing instead, or what you should have thought about, is you should have added if C equals null, then something else, right? In this case, return. This is called a null check, and this is that we should be doing this all the time, but experience shows us that we're not doing that. We are, if you search for null pointer exception on GitHub, you will find 500,000 commits, not lines of code, commits that have tried and hopefully succeeded to fix a null pointer exception, a null error, basically. And if you can search for other variants of the theme, and you will find more tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands commits like that. Like if you search for called on a null, that will give you about 20,000 more. Right? So we are not good as developers. We are not great at doing this. We are not thinking about it all the time because it's really, really hard. It's really hard to think about it all the time. So how do you address this? With a concept we call non-nullability. Non-nullability basically means that some variables are never nothing, right? Non-nullable, which I think is kind of confusing because it's a double negation. So I sometimes switch it into always something. Non-nullability basically means a variable can be always something. Or said another way, if you have a non-nullable variable, it is always present. It's always there. There's never null there, right? So non-nullability, a huge thing. If you look, as I said at the beginning, if you look at variables and you have statistics on how they accrue value and if they are null or not, then you will see that, let's say 80% of variables will never have null in them or never expect any null in them. And so it makes sense to say variables and fields and parameters to functions are non-nullable by default. They're never null, therefore they have always something in them. And this basically is null safety. We are saying that if you don't add any other syntax, when null safety is on for you, then all the variables are non-nullable and they will always have some kind of value. This, by the way, is the oldest issue. Introducing null safety is the oldest issue in the Dart issue tracker by a long shot. It was created in October 2011, so 9 years ago, and back at that time, it really was a hard sell because Dart was a very different language back then. You have to remember it went through a big shift from very dynamic language to statically strongly typed language. And so at that time, it was kind of non-nullability is really, really hard. But today, it's coming true. So yeah, go team. All right. So with null safety, now we're in this world where Dart has null safety. That's true in experimental mode. It is true today with Dart 2.10, which came on Thursday. And you have to opt into null safety. You have to say, enable experiment. But from now on, all the code you see is with null safety. This is not Dart code that you can now write in, Flutter. This is code that you will see, with null safety. Int h now means that h cannot have null because this is the default, right? We're not saying anything else. So h is 18 or 0 or 42, it is never null. If you try and assign null to h, it will not let you. The Dart will not compile it. The analyzer will give you an error. You are not even able to run your program if you try to have null in h. This is important. We'll come back to this later. What does this mean for functions. So in this case, you see that we have that same old function with set background. There's a color, and we are doing you'd say the same mistake like before, right? But with null safety on, we are, again, by default, the color is non-nullable, so it is never null. So there is no need for a check. We just can have this. The Dart guarantees us that 100% of the time, when this function will be called, color will not be null. So you can do whatever you want. Now, I said at the beginning, null is not the enemy. There are good reasons why to have nullable variables, why to have null, right? So how do you say that something, if non-nullable is the default, how do you say that something is nullable, that can have null in it? You do it with this little question mark thing after the type. So this is int, basically a nullable int, and then you can assign it to value, but you can also assign it null, or you can leave it uninitialized, which means it's not. It starts as null, and at any point in time, int question mark can have null in it. Basically, int question mark is the equivalent of today's int, right? Because today's int, you can also have null in it at any time. When in classes, this is what I talked about at the beginning. You can have a person who has a favorite color, and you can have a person who has no favorite color. This is how you would express it in Dart now. So class person, color, nullable color, favorite, right? Favorite can be color or null. Now I've made a change into the good old little, what's it called, function set background, that now see that we have the question mark after color, right? So now set background can take both a color and a null. Now, what will happen is it will not blow up. See that we don't have a null check there. It will not blow up. It will actually, again, not compile. Dart will not let us make this mistake at all, because it sees that color, or C, can be null, and it sees that we're doing c.hex, and it says, no, null does not have .hex, so therefore you're using it wrong, because C could be null. What you can fix this by exactly the same code as before. You can say if C equals null, then return. Then we don't do anything here. But the big difference is that the program will literally not compile. Your analyzer will literally give you a static warning. There is no way to run this. Before, it was completely okay to run this. It would just blow up in runtime, during the runtime. So when people actually interact with your app. Here, it's not going to happen. This is going to happen, and it gives you the it just tells you that something is wrong, or something could be wrong. So this is a big deal. Now let's do some live coding, and for that I have this. All right. So hopefully you can see it. I may try and make it a little bigger. All right. So we have that same set background function. Today I just can't think of the name function for some reason. And we have this invented sizzle background and everything, right? And then here we're setting background to blue. Fine. What happens if we do? Let's start with something simple. If we just say null, then this will not compile. It will tell us, and you probably can't read this, but it says the argument null can be assigned to the parameter of color, because color is non-nullable. Okay, let's go back here. What happens if we add the null check? If we have the null check, for example, from previously, So if C equals null, then return. We see that it's going to compile, but analyzer and Dart itself tells us the operand, the C, can't be null, so the condition is always false, and it even says dead code. Like, so this will never happen. So this is something that will happen to you when you migrate your code to Null Safety. Hopefully you will see, oh, okay, so this doesn't need to be there actually. I can just remove it. Because now the type system makes sure that this doesn't happen. All right. Now, let's talk about flow analysis. I can have a color, my favorite. And this is a color that is like a local variable inside the function. And I can try, of course, to set background to my favorite, and it will tell me, no, this is null. You're trying to assign something that's null. I can say my favorite is color dot green, and now it's fine. What happens here is that Dart actually goes through your code through every function and does a flow analysis, which basically is it comes and says, okay, so color is my favorite. It kind of starts like as a nullable type. So I hope, Filip, that you will assign to it before you read from it. And I do. I actually say my favorite is something. And now Dart knows that since here, my favorite is set, and it's basically color. It's a non-nullable color. If I do this, right, if I read the my favorite variable before I assign to it, then flow analysis correctly understands this is not going to work. This is null right now. It's actually even cooler than this. So sometimes you have code like if random next bool, then my favorite is green, which correctly understands that this might not happen, right? So we flip a coin, and if it's heads, then my favorite color is green. Then of course set background will be nullable. It could be null. But what happens if, and this is a code that you see quite often, where you have something not set at the top, and then if something, then my favorite is colors green, and if something else, colors blue. And now you see this compiles, because Dart can prove that by the time you read from it for the first time, my favorite will have some non-null value. Okay, so this is cool. I also have prepared here a class called, actually not here yet. So this is a person, and he or she has an age, which is a non-nullable, right? And then favorite color, which is nullable. So we don't need this, I don't think. And we can be, oh, you know what? We can, no. I don't know what to do here. I think I still will need this, so and I don't want to lose it. Okay, so let's create a person. Truman is 29 years old, right? Of course, once again, null would just not work here. Anything that's nullable, it would not work. This is a nice structure, but it could be closer to what you see in widgets, right? In Flutter. If you're using Flutter, then you know that most widgets are actually have named variables. So, I mean, named arguments. Basically, you have to say You want to say age is 29, and it's more readable this way, right? But you see that if I do this, or maybe you don't, but I see that if I do this, I'll get red squiggly lines, and it says age can't have a value of null because it's non-nullable. So we can either say, we can either give it a non-nullable value at the start. So if the user of our API forgets to add the value, then it will be added for them and it will be 0. But again, something that you see in Flutter is you don't actually add any value here because we don't know. We want the user of our API, the programmer, to have to be forced to use the named variable and to say it, specify it. So this is a conundrum. You want a named argument, but you also want it required. And so Dart Null Safety introduces a new keyword that is just says required. Again, you might see this as add required from before. This was kind of a crutch for before the null safe keyword was introduced. But now it's just required. It's not with the at. And it says it's exactly what it says on 10. You can't now. If I try to create a person with no age, it will tell me the named parameter age is required. And again, it will not compile, and you will not be able to run your program. Okay. So we now have a Truman person, and Truman has an age, which is non-nullable, and then he has a favorite color, right? What if we try to set the background to Truman favorite? Well, as you can imagine, this will not compile because we know that Truman.favorite is nullable, and it's in this case it's actually null, right? We haven't assigned anything to favorite, so it's null. You might think that if you say Truman favorite is colors red, that this would disappear. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Flow analysis can work with local variables and with things like color, the parameters to functions, but it can't work as well with classes and objects. You can ask me about this later if we have time for Q&A, but there are edge cases where even if we assigned to the favorite color here, and on the next line you are reading from the favorite color, that could be different. So we can't, as Dart cannot prove this is okay. For this scenario, we have another syntax called the bank, which is basically the exclamation mark, where you say, I know this can be proved to always be correct, but I, the developer, tell you, my dear computer, that this is fine. And I'm asserting that favorite will always be null in this case. And we know it will. Here, in our case, it will always be null. It will never be null in this case because we literally just assigned a value in the previous line. So we're fine. Sometimes you have to do this, especially with colors like this. The problem here is you'll try to avoid this. If you're not correct, if your assumption is bad, then this will lead to stop of the program. You are not going to. This will basically throw the exception in the same way that before, right? So the difference here is you only do this once in a while, and you only do this when you're really, really sure that this is the case. Before null safety, you would this is basically what you would do all day, every day. So this is the bang operator. And the last operator or last keyword that I want to talk about is late. This one is a little more involved, I guess. Let's say that the person, and I had this before, the age of the person is computed. So we have a compute age, and it returns a number. Now, we don't actually say what the age is to the person. We compute it from some other, imagine there is a field that says date of birth or something like this. So how do we say what the age is? We could try naively to say age equals compute age, right? This is not going to work, because by the time we're in the constructor body, Dart cannot prove things about the nullability of types. By the time you're here, you're basically too late to compute anything that says that it's null. We could do this, not this. We could do this, but it's not great, especially if compute age depends on some kind of parameter. What generally happens is you use something we call the initializer list. So age equals compute age. This is something that seems a little, dense. And by the way, you don't. So initializer list is something that runs before the constructor, and all you can do in the initialization list is you initialize. You cannot do any loops or any kind of other thing. You only initialize. And this for Dart is really important, because it knows that things that you do here cannot like it can prove things about this. So if you put it here, it's gonna work. It knows that before you start execution of the constructor, you are assigning some non-null value to age, and that's okay. Awesome. But now comes the part. So this is what you do if you, let's say, a person takes year of birth, and you could do this, and it's all good. This would need to take year of birth. And now let's complicate it even further. And this is something that you see in, if you're working with Flutter and if you're working with animation controller, you know that to construct an animation controller in a widget state, you have to give it this, vsync column this. You have to give it the kind of the owner of the animation controller, which is a cyclic, not a cyclic, well, it is a cyclic graph, right? Which generally, of course, you should try to avoid, but sometimes it's just so much easier for everyone involved to have a cyclic graph. And sometimes it's unavoidable. So what if compute age takes person? So we have to compute the age of a person, we need that person, and the age is then assigned inside that person, similar to vsync in animation controller. Now, this won't work because, true, no. This, we want to give this to the compute age. It won't work because at this stage in the initialization list, this doesn't exist yet. It starts existing over here. If we move it to the constructor, we have the same problem like before. This is too late. It says non-nullable instance field age must be initialized, and it's not. It's only initialized in the constructor. And here, before the in the constructor, we could do crazy things like printing the age before it's assigned. And so null has none of it. It says, no, sorry, but no. So what we want to do instead is we want to use the new late keyword. And the new late keyword is very simple, and it's also similar to the bank syntax in that Dart opts to trust you. You're saying to Dart, I know this will not be initialized by the time the constructor is called, but I'm telling you that age is going to be initialized before I read from it. I'm saying this might happen and it's fine, but this won't. And Dart is like, okay, so you're saying that age is lately initialized and it's non-nullable, I will allow it. But if this happens and if you're reading from it before it's initialized, that's your problem. I'm going to crash. How is this different from nullable int, right? So we can say like this, and this will also work. And in fact, this will print null. But the difference here is that I can do age equals null at some point, and Dart will let me because int is nullable. But if I do late int age, then this will not happen. So Dart still guards me from assigning null to something, or if compute age was nullable, same here, right? But it will not guard me from doing something like this. The main point here is again, as with the bank operator, you don't want to use it too often. And if you do, you probably want to use it at such a variable. You want to initialize it at the top of your constructor or something like this, and be very, very, very careful about not reading from the value before you assign to it. All right, so that's all I wanted to show you here, I think. So let's do a little review. I think I still have time. All right. So Dart just prevents nulls. Null errors are prevented unless you absolutely lie to Dart. There's flow analysis in functions, so Dart knows things about your code, and it will kind of execute in its head what could happen to the types and to nulls and nullability, and it will go out of your way. If you're doing something okay, it will understand that my favorite is non-nullable, even if at the start it's not assigned. This is the if-else thing. And then there's 4 pieces of new syntax. First, the nullability operator, then the bank operator, then required, and then late. Soundness is something that is super important, super cool. Just a sip. Soundness is the idea that Dart sound null safe. Soundness in type system, like in Dart, means that Dart will never lie to you about types. We have a sound type system. We also have sound null safety, which means Dart will never lie to you about null or nullability. And this is actually not that common. If you're looking at the main programming languages out there that have null safety, only Swift and Dart have sound null safety. The rest will still need to, they still don't know 100%. And that arises from many different things. So you can actually read about this. Leaf, I think, made a very, very thorough article about the differences in null safety in different languages like C# and Kotlin or Java and TypeScript and stuff like this. So anyway, sound null safety you will find only in Swift currently and Dart, and probably some languages, but not the ones that we see often at the top of the charts. What it means is that obviously your code is safer because you can absolutely be certain that if Dart tells you that something is non-nullable, then it is non-nullable. And the other thing is, if you have an unsound null-safe language, because the language can be sure about the soundness, it still needs to sometimes perform null checks for you, right? And that makes things slow. So sound null safety means not only it's safer, the language, but also faster. So you want soundness. All right, migration. I hope that I still have time. You are, or by the way, organizers, if you want to stop me at any point, then just let me know. I will, yes. Okay, I think Vivek says yes. Yeah, I have time. Cool. Migration is one of the coolest parts. So imagine that null safety now is here. It's not under the experimental flag, and you really, really want the safety and the speed of null safe, sound null safe code. What do you need to do? We actually provide a tool for you to migrate, and I will be demoing the tool now. But you can, of course, also migrate by hand. Let's go through the steps first. So first step, you don't need to. All right, even if null safety lands not under an experimental flag, you still need to opt in into null safety. And unless you opt in via pubspec, unless you opt in, your code will work as is currently. So you don't need to do anything until maybe something like Dart 3 comes. You're fine, and you can run your code with glee. It's fine. Second, prepare. This is something that you would do with any migration. If you are, for example, in the middle of some refactoring, then you probably want to end that refactoring before you start a major migration. If there are some things that you wanted to do that will help with the migration, then you should probably do it. That kind of stuff. Again, classic preparation. Then check dependencies. You probably have some dependencies in your code. You want to check that all the dependencies that you're depending on use null safety or are null safe. This is, they don't need to be. You can still use null safety without your dependencies being null safe, but your code will not be sound, as I just said. And that's important. So if you want sound null safe Dart, then you have to have all your dependencies null safe. If your dependencies are not null safe, then I encourage you to reach out to them and maybe help them to convert their code into null safety. That would be very nice. And we are kind of all in this together. It's going to be a big step for Dart and for the ecosystem. So don't expect people to just migrate their code immediately just because you need them to. After you check the dependencies, you run the migration tool, and you sometimes have to run it several times, but you run it and that migrates your code, and that should be it. And then you opt in. Then you say, my code is now null safe, right? I made that mistake before. I opted in before running the migration tool, and that just doesn't work. The migration tool says, I'm not touching this. It's already null safe and stuff like this. Opt in after you run the migration tool. Live demo. All right. I have this package on pub, and it's a HTML unescape library. It's very simple, pretty small. and it just unescapes things. I can try and run. Do you see this? Hopefully, I can run Dart example, right? And this is this code. It's basically taking an HTML escaped string and escaping it so that it's not escaped. Okay. All right. So what do I do? I ran the example and it worked. Now I can try and run the example with null safety on. So enable experiment non-nullable. We don't make it easy for you to, accidentally turn it on. So enable experiment non-nullable, and now example. But wait, this should not have enable experiment non-nullable. Did I accidentally? This should not have happened. Last time I tried it, I don't know what I did wrong. Non-nullable. The worst thing that can happen to you is if when things that should not work suddenly work. Maybe I need to, okay. So as I said, SDK 210 introduces null safety. Let's see if this is the problem. Terminal. Yes. All right. We broke it. Okay. All right. So the first thing that you do is I thought I don't need to do it to break the code, but you have to go to 2.10, which was released on Thursday. And we just, and then Dart knows that, okay, so we're in the possibly null safety world, and the -- enable experiment will work. I still think it's a bug that we didn't say anything about the experiment not being really on, but whatever. So now it doesn't work. So how do we fix that? Well, we start the migration. Dart now has the migration tool by just saying Dart migrate. This will fail because it says basically our dependencies are not null safe. It actually says it very, very clearly. The versions of one or more packages currently checked out have not yet migrated to null safety feature, right? We would have to go to the pub spec and look at our dependencies. And I actually, in this case, I know that all of them have a null safe version. It's just not unstable. If I was trying to experiment with null safety, I could use them anyway, and they would be, and then everything would be fine. But we don't have the time to search for the right packages or anything like this. So let's not do that. And instead, as every time, if you Dart migrate -- help, you'll get help. And one of these things, you can do anything, Dart something or pop something -- help. It will give you all the things that you can give it. And here is the option that I was looking for. What prevents us from migrating, if we do the Dart migrate just like this, is basically it runs the pop outdated command, and this is what we get. And we want to go past that. We're like, no, don't worry about it. We skip it and run the Dart migration tool this way. When everything is when your dependencies are in null safe mode already, you don't need to do any of this, right? You will just do Dart migrate and it will immediately work. So don't worry about all that. And now Dart will analyze our project and generate migrating suggestions, and it will create like a web app. Can you see it? It's not great to have it in this small window. And I don't know how to make the font larger, to be honest. So I'll just let you what's going on. This is my project files. I can see all the code in the project, and these are the proposed edits. So the migration tool tells me that here is what it wants to do. So for example, here it says, hey, result should be nullable. So I added the question mark here. Here it says there is no change. Int is non-nullable by default, right? So and as you can see, there are many different variables and returns and everything like this. And except for one, there is only all of them are non-nullable. Similar here, there is a lot of different things that just keep being the same, but there is one late keyword added. There is a downcast that is going to be discarded because it's unnecessary. And then there is one nullable field added. And you see also the bank operator. And again, see, carry doesn't equal null. We still, because this is a field, it's not, carry is not inside the function. It's not a local variable. We still need to do the bank operator here, but we're very, very safe that this is not a problem. And yeah, so we now have our code migrated. This, in my case, it just took one pass. It might take more for you. You can give it things like, oh no, you know what? I here in the bottom right, you can say, I think this should actually be nullable, for example, right? And you tell it that, and then you rerun the migration, or you change something and you rerun from sources. But I will just apply the migration, say okay, and I'll look at the code. The code currently is red, and that's just because I didn't go from non-nullable to nullable. I didn't add the experiment to the analyzer, but we won't do that now. We'll just, for the interest of time, we will just try and run with the experiment on. So now we're running in Dart null safe mode with the null safe migration done, and it works. And we're in 2.10. Now we're here, and so everything works. All right, we did it. Awesome. Back to the slides, and this is basically all of it. So in summary, it's early. You don't need to do anything, and I'm very glad that you're looking at this. Null is not the enemy. Null makes sense. It's semantically something that should be there. There is non-nullable and nullable types. Non-nullable is the default, and it makes sense because 80% of variables, or probably more than 80% of variables, are just non-nullable. So it's fine. You could see it in my code when I migrated. There is new syntax. There is the question mark. There is the bank or the exclamation mark, required and late. You will generally use a lot of the question mark. Sometimes you will use, unfortunately, the bank. And if you want a nicer API, you will use required. And if you have some cyclic dependency, then you will use late. Dart null safety is sound. If you have your dependencies sound as well. And soundness means it's safe. Dart will 100% guarantee it can prove that things will not be null. And it's also faster because it doesn't need to perform not checks. And the migration, there is a tool. It's not complete, but it already works for at least for smaller things like this one, and probably for bigger ones as well. And of course, you also can migrate by hand if you want to. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope that you have a lot of questions that I can try and probably fail to answer. And yeah, I'm open to it. Thank you again.
All right. Hey, Philip. So first of all, great talk. So I'm just going to start with the query that I have. So in the demonstration for the migrate tool that you mentioned, so does it generate suggestions or does it actually convert the code and you have options to just check and I can just commit the code to you my repo?
Yes, good question. So I just stop it, but it generates suggestions. What you saw there, actually, let me start it again. I have to wait. Well, it generates suggestions. If I get into too much detail, I will start it again. But those suggestions are there, and then I can give it suggestions back and saying like, oh, you know what, like this. I know that you inferred that this string is non-nullable, but actually I want the API to be nullable. So you can say that and then rerun the migration tool, and migration tool will do all its work again and say, oh, okay, so this is now nullable, so therefore that is nullable, and so on and so forth. But generally it just does this, and then when I click the apply changes, it will just rewrite my code to be null safe.
All right. So we have a question from Gaurav here. He basically asked, like, will required, so like, like the required initially comes from the meta package. So will that be also part of the migrate tool?
Yes.
Or
well, yeah. Oh, if it rewrites the meta package, I don't know, to be honest, but I would assume that the meta thing will just stay, and we will add the required keyword, because, well, I don't know. I'm trying to answer something that I don't know. So yeah, I don't know.
All right. So, so this is a question that I have, and I think most of people will ask. So, and you've also mentioned this. So, like the way I write, code for Flutter, null is used to determine uncertainty. Like there is something is not there, it may come in the future, and that's then in UI, in the UI tree, you basically write if null, show the nullable UI state, and when it's not null, we assume there's data. So, like with moving to the null safety word, is that still a good like still a good idea to go ahead with, or we need to rethink our thoughts? I guess
I think that's a good idea. I do think that people generally use null just fine. It's just that they don't always remember to check. So with null safety, you will now not be able to not check, but you absolutely can use null in this way, and I think you should. I don't know the specifics, but yeah, definitely. For example, the Flutter team itself has a bunch of nullable arguments to their widgets, because that makes sense. Sometimes you just don't want to provide a value for something.
Yeah. So so the next question that I'm gonna basically, so this is like a two-parter question. So like, what is the default value for a variable? Like, you took your color example. You took like if it's a default as an application level, they might use black. So if it's black, it's like the default value, and it may not be null. So how, as like you can have like a user, so like there's a user class, like what becomes the default value for the user? So like, is there a way to wrap your brain around this? So usually it's null. For me, it's null. I use it null, but as you don't want null in your applications, right? You don't want to use, you want to use as less of nulls as possible. So
yes. So this is a really good question. I'll go back to my code here for a little bit, and if we are here, sometimes you will see something like set background to the person's favorite color, and then it's very easy to add a default value here. So it could be colors white. So here it basically says what this operator means. If this is null, then use this. But if it's not null, use this. So it's very easy in Dart to express this defaultness. If something is null, at the place where you are actually using it, you can do question mark. If not, then use a default.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Okay, so we have a question from Peter here. He basically asks, how about JSON parsing? Is there, do we have soundness for that? He says
Yes.
it can't be sound, right? Because
that's a really good question. Yes. So soundness doesn't mean that you can't have null in places. It just means that you can't lie about it.
Okay.
If you are doing JSON parsing, then basically everything in JSON is nullable.
Okay.
You can use the bank operator to say, I absolutely am sure that my server will never send me null here. And that's your problem then. And yes, in that case, it will crash, but it's not unsound. Soundness means that you will not be able to perceive the running program where the program lies to you about null safety. It can still, if you do the bank operator, it will crash, but you will not be able to be running beyond that crash, right? So it doesn't, no soundness, no null safety will ever prevent you from crashing with a null value if null value still exists, because it just, you would have to just remove null in at all, and you would have to use something like optional or something. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So next question, I guess. So is where and dynamic, so do they have null in them? Like, can where be null? So, or is like where do you have to ask, like the variable type, where type, do you have to add a question mark next to that, or is that null by default?
That's a really good question. So Flutter, Dart infers the type of variable. So this is exactly the same as doing this, right?
Yeah.
You might be tempted, as I was, to do something like that, right? But that is not working. Var is basically just saying, hey, Dart, make your best guess, or like infer what this is. And in this case, because we're already assigning something, it will always be non-nullable because that's the default. If you absolutely, if you want to say, no, person, the Truman might be assigned value later, then you have to say the type itself. You cannot just do var like that.
Okay. Same question for dynamic. Like dynamic types, do they have null in them? Like, can null be present there?
Dynamic is, it's always okay. Wait a minute. Dynamic should. Oh yeah. What's going on here?
No, it's nullable, right? That's why it's throwing the error, right?
Yeah. Yes. No, I would be very surprised if dynamic is not nullable. So yeah, dynamic is nullable. It's basically everything is off.
Okay. Next question. So this is, can we use async await with the late keyword? Like, does that paradigm make sense?
Yes.
Like
unfortunately, yes. So the late keyword is saying, I the programmer tell you, Dart, that this is okay, and we can absolutely do something like set age, right? And we can call it at any point later, and Dart will be fine with this. We, of course, if we have get age and do this, it will not help us because it will assume that we know what we are doing, and that we are never running this method before this method, right? So late is really, it can be asynchronous. It can be, you can never assign to a late keyword. What you're saying is, I'm not going to read from this variable before I write to it. And sometimes it's really, really more safe to just say that the age is nullable, And especially if you have something like a weight, I would probably say, what, age is nullable, and now Dart will prevent you from doing something really stupid. You will have to null check then.
All right, so can we use late and nullable, like the question mark operator and the late keywords, or like both of them together?
Good question.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's.
All right.
I don't think it makes sense. Late really says this is non-nullable. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So let's go to the next question. So this is around performance, I guess. So I've heard like a bunch of numbers being thrown out, like when NNPD was, first released for the announcement was first made. So like internally, like what kind of performance improvements have you seen, whether it be memory improvements or like just sheer speed or just some other metric that would
I think it's
be helpful?
Yeah, this is good. I think this is mostly speed. The benchmarks are always different because it depends on the kind of code that you're running. I was actually surprised. So this one, the HTML unescape, so not this one, but the other one, when I do have a benchmark here, and it's a micro benchmark, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. But this was like 100% faster or something, and just by going to null safety and sound null safety. And I guess it's because it's just working with a lot of strings, and the strings before it had to check everything about if it's safe or not. I mean, if it's null or not. Now it doesn't. So I think that's the main reason now. But I would normally we have benchmarks all the time. Right now it's probably maybe it starts to make sense to actually publish the benchmarks, but until now it was too early. And so we saw some really good numbers, like 20-50% improvement in benchmarks, but you never know, and you don't want to overpromise, right? I would not. It will be faster. You will probably see at least like 5-10% speed increase in your code. It definitely won't be slower. It won't do anything with memory, I don't think, but and you can be pleasantly surprised that something is really, really doing well. But yeah, don't assume that it's just going to be everything going to be 50% faster. It's probably not.
All right, makes sense. So I opt for more questions because there are.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
All right. So next question is around Flutter Web and compile Dart to JS. So is that still sound, because JS is not sound and like naturally not sound. So like the Dart runtime which runs in JS, will that still guarantee null sounds, I guess?
Yes. So when you compile to JavaScript, again, the soundness is on the level of Dart and the compiler and the analysis server. So it can prove to you, the soundness of null safety is that it proves to you that using the semantics of Dart, this will never be null. And then that's another step, is that it goes to JavaScript. I guess because this is JavaScript, if you like monkey patched or modified JavaScript from outside of Dart while it was running a Dart code, then that could blow up. But that's not something that people do. So yeah, even in web, this will be sounded. You will still see the safety and even the improvements in speed. Actually, there are pretty big improvements in speed, because before Dart still had to do the null checks all the time in JavaScript. Now it just can let it go and say no. Well, I'm not sure if actually. Well, I'm not sure if JavaScript will then do its own null checks anyway. But hopefully not. I mean, hopefully it's not going to be a big issue. But yeah, it should be it should be faster than before.
All right. And so I'm sorry about the background noise coming from my place. It's families making food. So I'm
Oh,
extremely sorry
I
for
don't
that.
hear anything, so it's all good.
All right. So I let me see what questions do I have. Just a second. So this is more of a, I don't know how I'll explain the question, but thoughts on sealed union classes. Like, are you aware of them? Like, I don't know if I'm using the proper
Yeah,
terminology.
union classes. Yes, yes. We don't have union classes. I know if you go to, let's see, if you go to Dart language, the GitHub repo of Dart language, Dart language.
Uh, you're gonna refer to the issue, right? So the discussion around union classes,
Yes,
right?
yes. You can go to well, one of the best ways is to just go to the language funnel here in the projects, and you can see if union classes are here. I don't think they are currently. Nope, but you definitely can find the issue. It's
It's
so
there, yeah.
Nullability, we basically have union special union class, which is null or something. And everything nullable is the type or null. But nullable classes themselves are not there yet, or not even in the being discussed phase, it seems.
Right. So a small question around that. Given that team internally did a lot of work, like making the nullable and non-nullable types, basically the unions, right? So do you think that helps going to like bringing unions into Dart, like in terms of the internal restructuring that might have gone into bringing those types into Dart? Do you think that makes the process easier?
I am generally not super into adding new features to languages. I know that it's always very shiny and very nice to have new things like union types, but then when you have them, you have to teach everyone about them. You have to think about them, and so on, right? I think union types really is helpful, to be honest, and because you're kind of forced. I mean, any of the features is helpful. I don't think it's super urgent to have something like this, but I'm not on the language team. I can't talk about that. But my personal opinion is that it would be nice to have them, but I understand if the language team is trying to be more conservative, and I like them being more conservative, because that's how Dart is as nice to work with. Dart is just very, very familiar, non-threatening language that you can just use as you please, and there is not many surprises for you. But yeah, unit types are nice.
Okay, makes sense. Makes some sense. So let's take one last question from the comments, I guess. So Gaurav asks, what about future? Like, does future is it nullable in nature or not? Because the future might just return null in its logic.
Oh, that's another thing that I didn't mention, but yeah. So future is a generic class. So you have a future of int or future of string or something like this. The nullability can apply to both of these things. So you can have a nullable future, or you can have a non-nullable future of something nullable, and any combination of both. So 4 combinations in total. There is, I expect that most code will have non-nullable future. So you will start with a future that is non-nullable, that is always present, but the string or whatever it holds or whatever it promises to give you can be nullable sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we guarantee that if the future completes, it's not going to be null, and so it's going to be future of string. If I cannot now imagine a way that it's where you're like saying I want a null, like the future itself is nullable. but it's absolutely everything is possible. So yeah, but any generic class like list, for example, or set or map can have the question mark anywhere. And the map itself can be a question mark, the keys or the values can be question mark, and so on.
But specifically in case of futures, right, it might come in the future as the name suggests. Like, how does it work in that case? Because there's a state of uncertainty created because it might come from an HTTP call, it might come from somebody else. So how do you think about soundness in that case? Because the type system guarantees it, but the developer, who is writing it might not be able to.
So this is also a really good question. There are two things to think about. The future can guarantee, if it's a future of string, no question marks, it guarantees, and Dart will guarantee that if it completes, it will be non-null. But it does not, the type system will not guarantee that it will ever come, right? So the uncertainty in the future is it might never complete. But that's fine. What you want to do in terms of null safety is you never want to be surprised, oh, the string finally came after 2 hours, but it's null. What? It shouldn't be, right? So it's like that. And the associated completer for the future will again guarantee that you will never completing with null if it's non-nullable. But yeah, there are two different uncertainties: the uncertainty of when it comes, and the uncertainty if is it null or not. And Dart null safety is making sure that it's not null. Hello.
Hey,
Yeah,
Don. Okay, so
I
we
have
have
a-
Don. Yeah.
I-
Yeah, so basically,
Hi,
Don's from Flutter Team. He's one of our, like multiple communities that we just brought together. He has a question for you, so just off to him.
Yeah, when will be now the null is available only for Dart now. When is it available for Flutter to development, application development?
Well, we generally don't say
Like
the roadmap, because I mean we have the roadmap and we know that that's work that we're working on right now. Flutter is being converted to null safety as we speak, but I can't tell you exactly like if it's 1 week or 1 month or several months. It's a pretty big undertaking, and it's also not just the SDK itself, it's all the plugins that we look at, and all the plugins that most people use are also need to be null safe for everything to work as we hope to. So yeah.
like maybe like one branch for null safety, like dev branch, stable branch.
It is possible now, I think, if you're in master, to run in unsound null safe mode. But you have to really try, so don't do it yet if you don't absolutely need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I guess that's pretty much it from in terms of questions right now. What I'm going to ask people to do, if they have more questions, drop them on Twitter. I think Flutter Twitter is pretty active these days, like always pretty active. So I guess that's it. So I'm going to ask Vivek. Vivek, can you bring Sakina back in and just take me out of here so we can continue on with the show, I guess.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Philip. Okay,
Hi, Philip again. Thank you so much. That was a great talk. And the Q&A session was really superb.
Thank you.
It cleared a lot of our doubts, and honestly, people in the comments are going crazy. Like, it was the best session on null safety till now. Okay, thanks so much. I have Poonam here. Hi, Poonam.
No. Thank you so much, Philip. I literally felt for a moment that we are seeing the live streaming or premiere of Flutter Boring Show. Wow. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed at Flutter India, because we were really like overwhelmed that, wow, this is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope we get to talk with you again.
Yes, very soon. We hope to see you in India somewhere, like very soon, and we can
Absolutely.
have all
I
this.
would love to come. Yes.
Yes, we have been following you since long time, and the moment we got to know that you are coming on, you are coming and Flutter India and getting it, like having us, giving us that privilege to present you and host you. We tried to research little more about it that we can know that what all we can do more and how we can make this event even more engaging and amazing. And I think we did somewhat justice with that.
Yes.
The question answers and everything. The entire talk actually, it was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Philip. Have a great time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Hi,
Sakina.
Philip.
You're doing really well. Hi, how are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I see a new joinee in this little family Flutter India taking the entire lead in a very wonderful way.
Yeah. It's really great of you guys to give us the opportunity for hosting the next event.
I
And
say thank
when I joined, we were like 10 of us, and just in a couple of days, I see that we have increased the number to 13. So that's pretty good. I mean, our community is growing every day, so hopefully we'll expand even more in the future, coming soon.
I literally wanted to tell everybody who are watching us now that if you see that only we two are on the screen now, it's not only we two, but there is a big squad helping us in a very immense way. And the next person that we'll be inviting on screen, she is somebody that we actually and genuinely look up to her. When we talk about community, that few things comes in our head. You be extremely supportive and without any selfish reason, but just do whatever you can do and be that middleware and platform for people that they can reach out to you, maybe to share their learnings and findings with you, or maybe reach out to them that we have a bunch of people who want to start learning Flutter, and then maybe we can arrange a study exam for you, and that would be the best feeling for any community which is a part of this.
Yeah,
So
definitely I agree with you. Especially with our community where we are such young individuals. We have just some of us have just passed out from college, so sometimes it get really overwhelming, and to have great.
yeah, and like we are 13, right? If I'm not missing on any numbers or any great community name, right?
Hmm.
It starts with the
No.
Yeah, it starts with the strongest, like very hardworking gang which comes from Flutter Mumbai. These these five individuals have been the very hardworking man. If I take up the name, Aniket Chavan has been the person that who take this initiative and who tried collecting initially. That he was the one who tried connecting with the 2-3 communities. Then we became 7 for the first event that we did in Flutter India, and this is the third one where we are in 13 communities, and I see that we are doing great. And if I take up quickly, let me take you guys to the tour of Flutter India. It starts with Flutter Mumbai, which
Yeah.
has Anik, Savan, Aditya, Yash, Vivek, Preet, the man that you just saw taking Q&A, and Atika Khan, who is leader of leading the chapter of Women Who Code at Mumbai. And then we come ahead with two young boys, Flutter Vadodara. Ayush has been the person who has been very actively contributing in Google Summer of Code, that SDK thing, and the man partnering him, that Harsh Mehta. And we come ahead with the community I belong to, Flutter Ahmedabad. Bhavik, he has been the recently very fresh Flutter GD, and congratulations, Bhavik,
Yeah.
all of us.
Congratulations.
And then we go ahead with Sunny Prasad, Bharat Makwana, this young boys jam in our team. And then we go ahead with, I guess, the girl whom I'm sharing the screen with now, Flutter Pune, Sakina and Ashish. Am I missing any name? Do let me know because I'm not so good at remembering names. Then the man that you just saw again, Don, he's Don, but he's not a Don. He's really very cool man and expert at a lot of things. We got to chat with him during planning the events, and that's when we realized that this man knows a lot of things. He has hell lot of knowledge in his head, and he's just a second year graduation student, man. So he's the one who is leading Flutter Trivandrum, and then the other fellows are Flutter Kerala, that is Mithun. Then the one man army again, Flutter Nagpur. I guess that's Praful Mishra. He might be joining us soon to close the event. And am I missing on any names? I think yes. Flutter Delhi comes with Rishabh Bansal. And Flutter Surat comes with the most experienced developer we have in the family, Sanjay Ramani sir. And I hope I'm not forgetting anything. But if I'm forgetting, do let me know, Sakina. Help me.
Yeah, I think you're good so far.
Great. So this is the team, and we all will be really happy to help you guys and to learning Flutter on a lot of technical things. Maybe we might not be able to give you answers or give the answers to your questions, but we know some people who extremely were really happy and to support everything. The team individuals we get support from, the one we'll be inviting on stage, other than the entire Flutter community, because we cannot really bring amazing speakers and really expert people for all of you without their support. So this is something that we always count on. We are really grateful about it. So
Yes,
again, when
Poonam.
we talk about, yeah, go ahead.
I would just like to add that for anyone who has some questions, reaching out to local communities is the best. I mean, you get the comfort level. You can even try to get a one-on-one meeting with them, which is not possible on a national or international level. So just reach out to us on even Twitter or LinkedIn, or just over email. That also works. So Twitter, all of us are mostly really active on Twitter. So yeah, that's a great place to reach out to somebody. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I just forgot that I missed Flutter Bangalore. Sorry, and hi guys. So again, when we talk about community, the biggest upcoming event coming up, I believe you all would have registered for that. That is the AFES 2020, and it won't be this time that each and a local GDG communities will be taking it, but it will be national level at one. That the AFES India will be the one. And since you guys have registered, you guys can definitely take a look at the website. But to know more about it, we have the next person coming up. That, as I said, I see 2 women in tech on screen, but the other one, we really take inspiration from her in many more ways. She has been the program manager at Google India, and yeah, I don't want to talk much. I just want to listen to her now.
Yes, most definitely.
Let's
I
invite
personally look up
Nikita
to her, man.
Gandhi.
She's really humble. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Nikita, and we would love to that you take the lead now.
Hi, Nikita. Welcome.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Poonam. Thanks so much for the warm introduction. How are you?
We are
Great,
good.
great.
We're really happy to see you again.
Same
And
here.
if
Nice
you
to talk to
hi,
all of you. Oh, thanks as well. All right.
okay, we would let you lead now, and we'll see you again. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm so excited to talk to you today about DevFest India. And one of the reasons I've been talking about DevFest India more because this time we'll be celebrating the spirit of developers in a unique way. And I thought I could make the most talking to most of the developers, letting them know how the 50 GDG community organizers have come together to plan DevFest India in 2020. So, yeah, this is not going to be a lengthy conversation, but a quick glimpse of how DevFest India is going to look like. Before I begin, I know Poonam has said a lot about me, but in simple words, my name is Nikita and I work as a community manager with Google Developers. I have been associated with communities for more than 6 years now. I have been working on Flutter since it was in beta version for mobile. And I really hope that I can continue working on Flutter forever because Flutter is my most favorite technology. I enjoy writing blogs on Flutter, so if you have time, you can search for me with the name @Nikita Gandhi, where I do write a couple of blogs in my free time. Okay, before I share more about DevFest India, let me take a moment to set some context with all of you. We all know that the world is experiencing things that we never expected. Nobody thought that all of a sudden we'll have to sit at home and listen to webinars because going to meetups on Saturdays was a routine to most of us. Meeting new developers, connecting with them, getting inspiration to work on interesting projects was something that we all enjoyed doing over the weekends. And of course, most of us who are students listening in the audience, we attended college in person to meet our friends. most of us complained about the commute timings to office and stuff like that. So things have changed all of a sudden, and India is just not the country who's expecting or experiencing these changes. Billions of people are affected with this COVID situation. A lot of people have lost hopes. A lot of them have lost their jobs, and things are just getting critical to a lot of them. In this difficult time, each of us efforts to make the ecosystem and world a better place to live in is a core responsibility. So it's just not about the frontline healthcare workers or the frontline soldiers who've been fighting for this situation, but it's all of us responsibility to stand strong and make the world a better place to live in. And kudos to all the community organizers, may those be GDG Cloud organizers, Women Tech Maker ambassadors, Flutter community organizers. It could be any other community organizers. Kudos to all of them who stood strong in this difficult time for their developers to add hopes in their communities. So of course, not all of the organizers are also in the best state of their minds, but all the work that they have been doing for the communities is something that I really appreciate, and I couldn't have enough of words to thank for the amazing work that they do for the communities. Well, let's come back to the most important thing that I'm here to talk to you today about. That's DevFest India, which is a unique way to support developers. So while all of us were thinking on organizing DevFest this year, so the Developer Relations India team, the GDG organizers, we are thinking of ways on how we can make this event unique, because of course there are so many events happening online. So how can we make this unique that also helps developers? Because this year is critical and we really wanted to help developers in this difficult time. So what we thought was we would introduce different technologies to all the developers with different experience. So may they be beginners in programming, or may they be developers, may they be UI developers, or may they be cloud architects. We thought of serving all types of audiences this year, and hence we also wanted to add some fun element to this event. And what we thought was we can organize India's largest developer code concert. Yes, you wouldn't. This is the first time a code concert is happening, and the GDG organizers in India are the first one to plan this and execute this, just not in India but across the globe. So 16th, 17th, and 18th of October, these are the 3 dates when DevFest India is going to be organized. The sessions start at 3:30 p.m. on Friday, 16th of October. There is going to be an amazing keynote that is already in plans for all of you, followed by different tracks. So basically, we have 5 tracks, namely mobile using Kotlin, we have cloud using Google Cloud Platform, we have machine learning using TensorFlow, we have web using Angular and PWA, and cross-platform development using Flutter. So the day one is going to be more about beginner level tracks, wherein someone who haven't experienced any of these 5 tracks before can log in and see awesome speakers performing live, showcasing their products, just like a code concert would be. And this is an amazing way to see how the experts' way of programming or building products, making useful solutions. So we have 26 such speakers in line, and there are 15 sessions planned exclusively for all of you. So this is going to be really fun because we have some interesting icebreakers included as well. We have cool swags to give away as you log in to the event. We will also be giving away certificates of participation to all of you who would be attending this session. So do not forget to register for DevFest India if you haven't already. What's more and what's interesting for the Flutter enthusiasts over here? So we have GDEs, 4 GDEs, Pavan, Pooja, Kamal, and Deven, who are going to build a cross-platform application that can be run on both mobile and web. So they're going to build a clone of some interesting application that you haven't seen before mostly, and they're going to show you how to make this application basically compatible on different screen sizes. They're going to tell you how to work with APIs. They're going to show their amazing way of writing animations. So this is a cross-platform track that you may not want to miss under the DevFest India conclave. So see you all at DevFest India. Register at devfestindia.com if you haven't already. And follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram to get more updates around DevFest India. Thanks so much, everyone, and take care. Thanks so much.
Wow. I was literally, and I always get excited when Nikita is about to speak something because it is always full of surprises. And this was something this time little predicted that it won't be like a normal day face since it's on very big level this time. Thank you, Nikita.
Yes, so this year there is one single Dev Fest. So all the amazing content that is strategized just for you is accessible just with the step of connecting your machines with internet. You can code along with the speakers. You can make amazing apps, deploy them on different platforms. You can build amazing machine learning algorithms along with the speakers. So this is a hands-on experience, and that's what makes it unique enough. So I do request and encourage all of you to register for DevFest India and be a part of the amazing sessions planned for all of you.
Yes, and the code concert word itself was like a celebration feeling, like developer party.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
going to be
everybody got
interesting.
super excited for that. Yeah.
True.
Great, great. We are all looking forward to that event. We all have registered as well. I see people are forming team in the comments. Wow.
Whoa, I'm so excited.
Literally. Great. So I think thank you so much for your time. It's Saturday and you joined us. You helped us a lot. We cannot really, we if we start counting on the thing that you are helping us in by being a better team, by collaborating each other with each other in a really good manner, very smoothly, because it gets little tough to get 13 communities talking and sharing opinions and thoughts. But you have been a great support for us. Thank you.
Thanks so much, and thank you to all the organizers who managed this amazing event. I know it's a weekend for all of you as well, so thanks for taking time out and planning this fantastic initiative.
I remember it, Sakina. When we were in college during placement, we were literally waiting for that will because if you want to learn something out of our syllabus and curriculum, it gets little tougher to learn the way we want to. But now, since we have a lot of experts, a lot of methods and platforms to learn things, whatever we want to, and community is one of the key thing I see, key resource that is helping in many ways. I myself, I feel like a kid in candy store in many times, and I can community is the reason that I'm loving Flutter as well.
Honestly, Flutter community is like growing exponentially every day. It's super. Yeah.
Thank you.
Kudos to all of you and the amazing work that you do.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Nikita. We always feel that privilege when we get to share this stage with you. Always.
Yes.
Same here. Thanks a lot, and take care, everyone. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye, Nikita. Thank you.
Next we have is surprise. Sakina,
Yes,
do you know what is the next thing?
Yes, I do. It's
Great.
going
If
to be
we can,
super fun. Yeah.
if we can take the teammate, one of another fellow from the team, Sunny and I guess Sanjay sir, to help us to get this game on going in an even more fun way. Sakina, I would even ask you to be a part of this. Meantime, Sanjay
Sure.
sir joins us because we see the comments, things would be there, internet and all. We understand that.
Yeah, sure.
What I'm
awesome.
gonna do?
Super excited.
What I'm gonna do, and also the people watching us on YouTube, I believe you guys would have played dumb charades. This is something like that, but you just need to guess the widget. And these two individuals should be acting that which widget I am showing you, but these two won't be seeing that. That is the fun part. And you guys, I would request you guys to be honest and keep your eyes closed till I show the
Okay.
widget to the audience. Okay, so I hope you guys are ready. Do you want to do some eye exercise? Blinking, blinking, blinking. If
No,
you're
we're
all
ready.
set, then great. I'll just count on 3 and I'll open a random chat.
Okay.
Okay, you guys can close your eyes and help your team and the viewers without helping them. Oh, wow, this man is rolling his eye. Okay. Okay, Sunny, close your eyes, please. And I open a chat here. Okay. This is for you, the viewers. Try to see. Yeah. There we go. Maybe Sakina can open now, and Sunny would be guessing it. Is it clear?
Yeah, it is clear.
Great. Okay, your time starts now. You can mute yourself so that you won't help Sunny.
Okay. So can I get some props?
So
You can use some props, yeah?
Sure.
Or maybe you can use your hands and all. Sunny is like not able. Sunny can't wait to guess the widget.
Yes, I'm excited. Let's see what it is.
You will be doing this next. Like you will be the person who will be acting next.
Sure,
She,
I'll try.
she's trying to help you. She's getting props for you. People, if you can help Sakina to how she can act to present this widget with no verbal expressions at all. You can give her hints, and maybe you can help. You can take help from comments. Okay, you ready?
Okay, a book, page, there is no widget named page or book or okay. Okay, I guess it is page view because page view lets you do that kind of behavior.
Wow,
Yes, thank you.
awesome.
Yes.
I hope I hope the audience are able to guess as well. Kudos to your acting skills, Sakina. Now the time is yours to guess the event, guess the widget, and Sunny will act.
Okay, I'll close my eyes.
The honesty game starts here. Sunny, this is for you.
Okay,
Okay, you ready?
this is I don't know if I should I use.
You can use your hands.
Hmm.
I'm helping you, so you can use your hands.
I guess I'll need some space here. Yeah. So guess the widget.
Sakina, open your eyes. Good morning, Sakina. Open your eyes.
Sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, you
Sakina.
can start.
Guess this widget.
Okay, it's your palm. Push.
Dragon.
Dragon. Okay.
What is this widget?
Mm,
Which behaves like this.
you can't talk. Don't break the rules of Damsharas.
Anything?
Mm,
You want help? You want help?
yeah, I
Should
think
we
the
ask
audience.
somebody?
Yes. Even I
I
need
think
help.
space, like
Okay.
space
Let me
between.
try again. Same
Yeah.
thing, but please observe what it does.
Okay.
A widget
Let me try to make it a little more difficult for
Lines.
Sakina.
which
Sakina, what do you push on Flutter? Like if you create
Button.
something.
Button. Okay.
button. It was raised button, which gives you a feeling that it is raising and getting pressed like a material.
Okay, got it. Cool. Nice.
So I'm not a very good actor. Now I know.
That was a tough one.
But you tried really well, Sunny. Great, guys. Let us add one more player in the game. If the one of the most experienced developer we have in the family, Sanjay Ramani sir, if he's able to join us.
Hi, sir.
I hope you can see us. Maybe he's trying to make it even more surprising. He won't show that he's seeing the note, but he will just, he may guess it. Maybe she seems like some network issues, I guess. If somebody else want to join in, until the meantime, in the meantime, Sanjay sir will fix the things ongoing. Maybe, yeah.
Well,
I
I'm
guess
here.
you.
And yeah, I have one more player with me. I'll add him next on the next
Yes.
question.
Yeah. So, are you ready? Who wants to guess this time?
Let me do this.
Okay, great. Close your eyes, Sunny and Sakina. Sunny, you're supposed to be a little more honest this time. Oh, wow. Okay, Vivek, here is the widget. You get the widget, Vivek. You get the widget.
Okay.
Readable?
Yeah.
Actable?
Yeah.
Great. You guys can open your eyes.
Okay. Can I use pen and paper to draw something?
You want to draw something? I think he just wants to help you guys, or maybe wants to make it more difficult for you guys.
Okay. Let me do another thing. Okay. So.
Okay, there's a
Picking up
there are
something.
elements on
Navigation.
top of each other. Okay, so
Let me check if somebody's helping you in
column.
comment.
Stack.
Wow.
Stacking up
stack.
everything.
No, it was
Column.
Okay, nice.
I'm very surprised that the person who were helping me to get this game arranged, they are not able to guess the widget.
I was not part of this.
Okay, let's take Dawn this time instead of Sakina, and let Sakina rest for a while. Yeah, we'll join you soon.
Yes. Cool.
Welcome back, Dawn.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is the widget for you, and
For me?
yes, for you, Dawn. And Sunny and Vivek needs to close their eyes. Be honest. Wow. Dawn, here you go.
Scroll up.
You already said it, man.
One more.
Mute yourself. Give me thumbs up
I
when you
will
can read.
Mute yourself.
You mute yourself. Ready? There you go.
Okay.
Give me thumbs up if you can read it and I should. Okay, great. Keep yourself muted only, and yeah, you guys can open your eyes. Good morning.
Okay.
Yes,
okay,
Sunny,
I'm out of league. I have already read that thing, so I'm not gonna guess that.
This one?
Yeah. So it's you, Sunny. You have to guess it.
Cheating people.
No, I'm not cheating.
Box, container. What is this? This is box. And nope, I am not able to.
I see he's trying to make some.
Okay. Something that grows. I mean, vertical column. List. Something that grows. Acha. Okay. Space, expansion, spacer, expanded, flexible.
Go slow,
Which
man.
one?
You already said it.
Flexible, spacer. I'm not spacer.
Yeah, that's
spacer.
it.
Judge, spacer.
Yes. Okay, all right. I think we are good, and people would be a little tired. So We'll take the last one for Sunny. Yeah.
Okay.
Now
Let me
Don
try.
and Vivek will guess. Vivek, be a little more honest this time because you are doing a little
Okay,
cheating.
let me know when I have to open my eyes.
Yes, sure. Sunny, here you go. You get a widget. You won't get anyone. You'll have to act on this. Okay, you ready?
Please.
Yeah, Vivek and Don, you guys
Yes,
can
I am ready, but
try
I don't know how to.
to check Sunny's technical skills.
Should I use a prompt? I don't know.
You can if you have anything that can help them.
Sunny, you have my WhatsApp number. You can
That's
WhatsApp.
some
It is
fun.
a little bit destructive, but I will do it anyways.
Vivek is saying drop me a message in WhatsApp.
Okay.
We are techie people,
So
so we can use tech
guess this widget.
for our questions.
Guess this
Okay.
widget.
You cannot speak. Sir, you cannot speak.
Fold.
Fold. Padding.
I could have added all these things, I guess.
Padding.
Media query dot hide your bedroom.
Sorry. I got this word wrong. Sorry. Acha,
You want me to show the chat to you again?
trying this again.
Rapper.
Wow. Wow.
This one was completely different for me, and I could not understand how do I show this. And I was thinking of rapping. Nana, rapping. Okay.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you guys. It became even more fun with you guys. Thank you. We lead towards the closure of the event now, and yeah, thank you Don, thank you Sunny, and thank you Vivek for joining us in the game and for being the biggest support at the backstage as well. These are the people who are handling the backstage now. You guys might wish to congratulate them from the comment section.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, great. So we'll lead towards the closure again, and thank you so much everybody for being the biggest support for us, because we cannot really bring anything like with a lot of things whatever we wish to do, and if we don't have the audience who wants to learn, we don't have the speaker who wants to share their learnings and their findings and their contribution in the community or in development things so far. That's the reason that we can try to do something that helps us really well, that we can at least be that middleware again, and we can try to help you guys in learning your development things. Maybe we see a lot of people started learning Flutter, attending the meetups and all. I'm one of them. And right, Sakina said this has been, the community has been, and the meetups and events has been one of the biggest lecture, I would say, like a very fun one, that if you just want to learn understand null safety, there has been entire party kind of arrangement done, that it's the entire conversation. You do the Q&A, you chat with them, you put your questions in the comment, and you just learn the way you want to. So we are really thankful to each one of you, each and every person who is in the team, who is watching us now, who is helping us and supporting us. And if we start getting the list on, we have the very long list to count on, but we cannot really do that now. But we really thank you and we count on you. Anything you want to add on, Sakina?
Yeah, honestly, it was super fun session. I mean, it was interactive, and especially the game in the end was super fun for me. Okay. So I would also like to add that we also have a forum called flutterforum.co. If anybody wants to reach out to us over there, then most welcome. Firstly, I mean, the best place to reach out to us is on Twitter, all our individual communities. We all are very helpful. Honestly, I personally know each of you, and it's going to be a great way to answer your questions. So yeah, I mean, Poonam, thanks for giving me the opportunity to host the event. It was super fun.
That's what we call Flutter
Thanks, Flutter
India.
India. Sorry. Yes.
I even say thanks to them that they allow me to to be a part of that family, little family. Yeah, if at all
Yeah.
we missed to take out some questions, you can definitely do that because the entire community is extremely helpful and they'll try to reach out to you, or if maybe they'll answer your questions in the Twitter. Just
Yes, just
drop
use
a
the
message.
hashtag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hashtag Ask Flutter India. I have that poster, I guess, that we made for them.
Yes.
Okay, so here we bid goodbye to all of you. I will see you again in the next event. Till then, like every YouTubers do, like, comment, and subscribe. Do check out the Flutter India website to know what all we have done, or maybe you can check out the Flutter India YouTube channel or each community's individual YouTube channel to know what they have been. You might I see one of the things that I have so that from beginning of learn Flutter as a beginner to learn as an advanced one, you will get a lot of stuff has been already presented and been talked upon. So this is something that I would ask you that if you are stuck somewhere, do let us know. Maybe you can reach out to the local community near you. Since it's a virtual era, you don't really need to go to them. You can just ping them. You can just drop a message to their Twitter inbox, and that would be all enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Thank you so
guys.
much, everyone.
Thank
We
you.
wish you, please stay safe. Take care of
Yes.
yourself.
Stay home,
Don't
stay
go
safe.
out unnecessarily. Yeah, and yeah, we'll see you again and very soon, maybe in virtual event or a physical event, but we'll be really excited to help you out and to be with you guys again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.